Good morning. Hey, listen, I took a break, took a week off and went to Mexico. Beautiful country, beautiful people. Hadn't been there since I was a young man, just out of college, greenhorn out of South Dakota, naive. I was the perfect mark for all the hucksters on the streets. The street merchants out there trying to sell everything you can imagine to anybody you can imagine, and I bought everything that you can imagine. But this time, I mean, I've grown. I'm aware. I'm with it. I know what's going on, so I was not going to be taken in by all that stuff. I was prepared. But when I got to Playa del Carmen, Mexico, I discovered everything had changed. There was nobody out in the street trying to grab a hold of my sleeve and get me to buy stuff. It was just a nice, pleasant experience. We were walking down the street the second day we were there, and all of a sudden somebody shouted out, "Hey, I know you." And I turned around, and there was a young Mexican guy pointing at me. He said, "I was your server last night. You just don't recognize me because it's my day off and I'm in my street clothes and I'm down here helping mom and dad in their store." I said, yeah, I kind of remember you. But he invited me into the store to meet his mom and dad. It was an incredible experience. You know, naturally, I bought a few things from them just to be nice. We go out and we continued walking down the street, and all of a sudden, someone shouts out, "Hey, I know you. I was your server last night. You don't recognize me because I'm in my street clothes. I'm just down helping mom and dad out in their store. Come on in and meet them." So I went out and met them, bought a few things. Then it happened again and again and again, and I was thinking, gosh, these servers are the greatest people in the world. They remember me, and they're introducing me to their family, and I even had to buy an extra suitcase just to bring all my souvenirs home. It was quite an experience. Sometimes it seems like everything changes, but then again, nothing changes. On a brighter note, I've got good news for you. The bookstore is having a sale. It is offering 95% off on Mexican trinkets. They gotta go someplace. My wife won't let me bring them home. Well, today I'm going to talk about change. And there's two types of change. There is the voluntary change that we initiate, the kind of change we want to take place in our lives, and we put forth a vision or some sort of a desire or a dream, and we push to make that happen. But the kind of change I'm going to talk about this morning is unwanted changes. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. All of those things that come into your life out of the blue that are difficult, they are disrupting, they can even be devastating at times. Changes. Before I get into that, I want to share an illustration with you. It's, for me, probably one of the most miraculous events that takes place in nature, and that is the butterfly. It starts out with the caterpillar. The lowly caterpillar crawling along the earth, and the caterpillar is a glutton. It eats all it can of everything that it can until it gets so bloated it can't even move. At that point, it starts to regurgitate substance from within it, and it coats itself with this substance, layer after layer after layer, until it is entombed in this cocoon. Well, as time goes by, the caterpillar in the cocoon literally disintegrates. All of its form is lost. It's reduced down to this milky, liquid stuff. But then something interesting happens. Within this liquid, milky stuff, a new kind of cell appears. It's a kind of cell that is foreign to the caterpillar. It's never been experienced before. It's called an imaginal cell because these cells have within them the image of a butterfly. But when they start to appear, the other ordinary, regular caterpillar cells take it as a foreign invader because it is so different that they attack it and even try to kill these new cells. But the imaginal cells, they survive, and they begin to proliferate, and they grow. But even more importantly, as they do, each one of these imaginal cells is given an assignment. By who? I don't know. But they're given an assignment. Some become antenna cells, some become eye cells, some become wing cells, some become body cells. And from that, the butterfly takes shape within the cocoon to the point that it develops, breaks out of the cocoon, and it floats through the air. That is miraculous. Now I wonder at times, why does the butterfly have to go through that? All of that stuff. Why can't it just be born a butterfly and become what it is from the very get-go? I don't know the answer to that. That's just the way it is. Now I tell you this story because it's very similar to many of the things that we go through in life. You know, we go through incredible changes that are imposed upon us that we don't wish for and that we don't like. You all know what I'm talking about. You've all had experiences in the past where a change came into your life that you didn't ask for, and it wasn't easy. Sometimes it even hurts. Sometimes it's devastating. You know, losing one's job is difficult, disturbing, and devastating. Caring for somebody that you really love that is beginning to suffer physically or mentally is very difficult change. Getting older, aging sometimes can be difficult. When you lose a loved one, that is the change that you didn't wish for and you didn't want, and it can be devastating. These are extremely painful situations that we go through. And then when I think back about my own life, all the things I had to go through just to be here, and every one of you has the same story that you can relate in the same result that has come with me. I wonder why I had to go through all of those things that I did. You know, why did I have to be a troubled youth and end up in juvenile court and even spend a night in jail? Why did I have to go through the painful divorce of a relationship ending? Why did I have to do about with addiction? Why did I have to face financial challenges? Why did I have to do all of that just to become who I am and be here, which is my bliss? Why? I don't know. That's just the way it is. And just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a sense of wisdom and it doesn't have a sense of purpose to it. It just means that I am not evolved to the point where I can understand all of the mechanics of life and why things happen the way they do. We all go through situations and circumstances that are difficult. We all face times that are troubled. But more than anything, we have to remember the most important thing in going through that is trust. Have to trust life. Have to trust God. Have to trust life. You have to trust yourself and know that every change that comes into your life, it has a lifetime of its own. There's a time when it came into your life, a time that you experienced, and a time when it will end. And it's a process that you're going through. You're not stuck. You're not imprisoned in that for life. You're going through it. And knowing that, trusting in that, much of the worry and the anxiety and the fear will be taken out of it. Everything in life has meaning. Everything in life has purpose. Everything in life has reason, even if we can't determine what exactly it is when we're going through it. You know, the Tao is an ancient Chinese spiritual philosophy. It's spelled T-A-O, pronounced D-O-W, the Tao. And there is a Taoist story about a farmer and his son. And they had one horse, and the horse got away. Well, all the neighbors came around and told them how sad it was and what great misfortune that they had experienced in losing their only horse. The farmer said, maybe, maybe not. So him and his son went out to look for the horse. Finally, after 2 days of riding, they found the horse grazing in a field, and next to it was another horse, a wild horse. Well, they easily led both of them back to their farm. When the neighbors found this out, they came to celebrate. What a happy occasion. You have received such great fortune. Now you have 2 horses instead of 1. And the farmer said, maybe, maybe not. Well, the son went to try to break the wild horse, and in doing so, he fell off and he broke his leg. The neighbors came around and once again told him how sad this was and what great misfortune it was. And the farmer said, maybe, maybe not. Well, a couple of days later, the army came through, and they were drafting all the young men because they were going off to war. But because the young son had a broken leg, they let him stay at home. Good fortune? Maybe, maybe not. We never know. That's the thing. We take situations in life and we pull them out and we try to look at them singularly and just judge them on what they are. But every situation and every circumstance is intricately woven with what happened before and what is going to happen afterwards. And even though it seems like a difficult time and it's a night of the dark shadow that we're going through, there is purpose and there is meaning in that. Once again, trust that you're going to make it through just fine and dandy, and when you do, a greater good will be awaiting you. That's a beautiful thing about life. Life has wisdom, life has intelligence, and life has intention. And the intention is that it always progresses, it always flows forward, it always flows upward to a higher degree of expression and a higher degree of good. It's been doing this for 4 billion years, and it's been on the same path, the path of evolution, and we're on that exact same path. Everything in our lives has meaning, everything in our lives has purpose, everything in our lives has reason, and just trust that. Now, that doesn't mean that when things happen that they're okay and that it should have happened and that you needed that to happen. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying if something has happened, it is what it is. Just be with it. If you can't change it, don't resist it. Just go with it, and it will deliver you. It will deliver you to the other side where the light will shine again. Today I'm going to offer 3 mindsets that we can utilize when facing a difficult time, when an unwanted change comes into your life. And the first is, when you recognize that there's a problem or a challenge in your life, or if something's happened that is irreversible, the first thing to do is to realize whether you can do something about it or whether you can't. If you can do something about it, do something. Even if you don't know what to do, the smallest step will lead you, and the way will be shown from that point forward. If you can't do anything about it, the only thing you really can do is just accept it. It's a way of life. It is what it is, and it serves no purpose to you to fight and battle and cry and scream over something because it is the way it is. It's just go with it. The second mindset is understand, realize with unshakable confidence that everything you go through leads you to a higher point of good. See, for all of us, our lives are like a finely written novel from beginning to end. And I'm sure each and every one of us in here can look back at things that happened in our life, whether it be 10 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever. And at that time, we deemed it as implorable, unexcusable. It shouldn't have happened. It was a tragedy. But now, looking back, we realize if that one thing wouldn't have happened that we cursed and cussed way back then, if it wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't be where we're at today. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I wouldn't have gone through all the stuff that I went through, and neither would you. Many of us probably wouldn't be sitting here. Those things that we go through, they pick us up and they lift us forward into a greater experience of life. Now, the third thing is positive thinking. Think positively. Now, I have heard that so much. I have, especially when I'm down and out, I have heard so many people say, hey, listen, life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And I want to take those lemons and throw them back at them. And say, you keep the lemons, I don't like lemonade. I don't want to hear any of that positive thinking garble. Or somebody says, hey, life is a bowl of cherries. Yes, it is. But with every bowl of cherries, you also have a bowl of pits. Just keep that in mind. Now, this might not sound too positive. I'm probably not inspiring you to go out there and be a happy person. And that is okay, because positive thinking has gotten a bad rap. A lot of people take positive thinking to mean platitudes and Pollyanna, that pie in the sky lifestyle. Everything is good, you should be happy all of the time. And that's not positive thinking. Positive thinking is doing something that is positive for you, doing something that is good for you and that has no negative effect on anybody else. Anger is a positive emotion. Yet, in my history anyway, I was taught that anger was bad. You should never experience it. You should never voice it. When I was a child growing up, if one of us kids got angry, we were sent to our room and we couldn't come out until we had a smile on our face. And that taught us very quickly how to fabricate a fake smile, and we could be out of that room in 30 seconds. But the anger was still inside. Every emotion, just like life, has reason, meaning, and purpose. None are to be discounted. We like to slice and dice things. I want happiness. I want good feeling. I want something else that feels good. But I don't want all this other stuff. Well, those emotions are just as important as the emotions that we deem to be very comfortable. Emotions are like colors in a box of crayons. Every single one has its place. They all fit together, and every one can be used. Emotions aren't good or bad. It is only the degree to which they are used and the manner in which they use that make them not so good. If you take your anger to vent on somebody else or to yell and scream at an innocent person just because they get in your way, that is not good. But anger is good to release and let it out because of what has happened to you in coming up. If I'm pounding a nail and I hit my thumb with a hammer, I can take the artificial positive emotion approach and say, yeah, so what? That's great. The glass is still half full. I got another thumb that doesn't hurt. But I can also yell and scream and curse and cry and let it out, and in that moment, I am through with it. There is no resistance. Tend to the thumb and go on. Every emotion counts. Every emotion has a purpose in your life. And it's because we've been shrouded with this idea that we need to be happy or that we need to be upbeat or that we need to march down the path of life, in a sprightly manner where there's nothing wrong, just doesn't work. That takes away our humanity. We need to give ourselves a break and allow what we're feeling inside to not only be experienced, but to be expressed. And it always lifts us up and moves us forward to some degree. As we move through life, sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes things just don't seem right. If I'm walking down the street and I step in a mud puddle, that is not good. And no matter how much positive thinking comes into play, I'm not going to like standing in ankle-deep cold water. Now, once again, I can yell, I can scream, I can curse, and move on. But if I'm still standing in that same puddle of water, yelling, screaming, and cursing an hour later, or a day later, or a week later, or for some of us, we carry our anger for years, a year later, that is not so good. Those emotions that really stir us up and don't feel so good are meant to be experienced in the moment. Anger is okay. Guilt is okay if you turn to it and it teaches you perhaps something that you didn't do right, and you can adjust your actions in the future. Sadness is good. There's this term called having a good cry. And why do they call that? Because after you're done, it feels good. It's that release of that stirring and that unrest that's going on inside of you. Now, some of you are probably going through a difficult time right now. Perhaps you're going through a change that you didn't ask for, that you don't want, and that is not convenient in your life. And I'm not standing up here and saying that's easy. I know. It hurts. I know it's difficult. I know it's something you don't want to go through. But once again, if it is what it is, if there's nothing you can do about it, we need to go through it. And we need to keep our focus on moving out of the darkness and into the light instead of focusing on the problem that has invaded our life and tramped all over the landscape of what otherwise was a beautiful existence. So the 3 points I'll leave you with today, first and foremost, when a problem comes into your life, determine, is there something I can do about this, or is there nothing I can do about it? If you do something, do it. If not, you adapt to the fact this is a new part of your life and it's not going to change, but you can manage it and it is not going to manage you. The second thing is realizing that life is on a mission. It has an intention, it has a wisdom, it has an intelligence, and it is moving you to a higher place in life. Life has been doing this for 4 billion years. Trillions and trillions of different physical expressions have gone through this. And life has never failed. It has always moved forward. It's always progressed. And the third thing is positive thinking, which quite simply means do what is positive for you. And that means identifying your emotions, embracing your emotions, releasing your emotions, and moving forward. Be fully human instead of be an automaton that only wants to go out to the world and put forth a pretense that everything is okay. Because sometimes it isn't. So what I'm telling you today is it's okay to be angry, just as long as you don't hurt somebody else in the process. It is okay to be sad, have a good cry, just so it doesn't continue on and take over your entire life. And it's okay to flip-flop positive thinking into, I'm going to do what's positive for me, and what's positive for me right now is to embrace the way I'm feeling and deal with it the way my heart and my soul know how to deal with it. But think about that as we go into meditation.